right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. 9:00 is now free. Do we have any nomination to approve minutes?
Make a motion. Second.
Okay. Carries. Standing reports, program agency director.
Just got back from the state council. It was quite eventful. There's some new legislation that was recently passed while we were there. Tip and tap, which is the treatment in place, so treat and in place standards. There's still some more regs coming with that, but the governor signed that into bill, so that'll allow agencies to be able to bill. And then the blood regs were officially signed, but there's a bunch of new regulations coming out that are still in the works. So everything's still status quo, but at least there's a movement on that front. Director Greenberg did indicate that those agencies that were electing to go with the to carry blood would also expect to see more visibility in the DOH as far as inspections to make sure everything is being handled properly and stored accordingly, and et cetera. So those two things, you have one batch of the collaborative protocol changes, the change log that happened mid last year and is making its way out. And I guess there was some discussion on whether or not this body wanted to approve all the additions to the protocols. And then there will be another batch of protocol changes likely coming out after the first of the year. It's scheduled to be discussed and potentially voted on at the December CMAC meeting. So more information to follow. As I get that information, I will share the proposed changes with you folks. Still planning on the conference stuff. It's ready to go. Our intentions are doing a half-day leadership curriculum as a pre-con and a half-day critical care transport, as well as our normal 2-day conference. I've got all the speakers already lined up, so everything's progressing that way, and hopefully registration will be sometime mid-October.
Sounds good. FLCC administrator, program director.
So we wrapped up a summer academy class. Started with like 8 people, ended up with 4 or 5.
4.
So not exactly the results that we would have liked to see, but nevertheless, we have potentially 4 new members of our EMS community coming out. Our fall classes are underway. We have a class here in Geneva that's a basic EMT original that has about 12 to 15 people in it. And we have a basic EMT original in Fort Gibson that's a 1-night-a-week class, and that has 8 people rated in.
There's 3 refreshers in the Geneva that make up that 15.
So class sizes are improving a little bit from where they were, and we hope to continue that trend. There's monies from the state level that we're hoping to be able to expend. They're supposed to be putting that into my contracts that I manage, and it's to directly fund 2 paramedic students, a minimum of 2 paramedic students a year for the next 5 years. So they're gonna give me roughly about 20K a year. And then if our program, we're estimating it to be around $8,000, $8,500. So whatever residual money we can use to offer, smaller contributions to additional people. So more to come with that, but that's kind of exciting to be able to help some students that may not normally have been able to manage it.
So is it going to be based on like needs based, or is it based
Well,
on to the?
That's the interesting thing, because the state we've asked them to produce, standardized criteria for everybody, but they want the regions to come up with their own criteria. So we need to have that discussion further.
Cool. Medical Director, New York State Department of Health Investigations list. So, just because we had the summer, so we've got quite the list. I guess we'll start at the top. So we have Brent Allspatch from Pine Butch, New York, for violations of Part 800, 16A1. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, $1,000 of that stayed pending no further violations. We have Laura Mastrantuano from Greenville, New York, violation of Part 800, 16A2, A3, A4, A9, Part 800.15, A1, A3, and that is surrendered her certificate, effective 6/5. We have Mr. Cody Minig of Holland Patent, New York, violation of 800.16 A1, 800.16 A3, most complete ACLs and PALS, civil penalty of $4,000, $2,000 of that is stayed pending successful probation. Brent Paylor of Geneva, New York, violation of Part 800.16 A5, not allowed to seek any recertification, license, registration, or certificate from the department in the future. We have Nicholas Shepard of Buffalo, New York, for violation of 800.16 A5, revoked certificate 5/16/24. We have Louis Cirillo of Corona, New York, for a violation of 800.16 A10, 800.3 AN, surrender certificate on 8/7/24. We have Yvonne Day of Wellsville, New York, for violation of 800.15 B1, assessed a civil penalty of $2,000. We have Andrew DeWolf of Lyons, New York, for violation of Part 800.16 A, assessed a civil penalty of $26,000, revoked certificate 8/26/24. We have Amanda last name spelled EUGUI of Wallkill, New York, for violation of 800.15 A, .3 AM, .3 AL, assessed a civil penalty of $4,000, $2,000 is stayed pending successful probation, suspended for 1 year effective 8/20. Suspension is stayed pending successful completion of 3 years of probation. We have Benjamin Miller of Messina, New York, for violation of 800.16 A1, A2, A3, A9, and A11, revoked certificate 7/3/24. We have Gary Rotajnik of Oneida, New York, for violation of 800.3 AM, surrendered certificate 7/2/24. We have James Schofield of New Paltz, New York, for violation of 800.3 AL and violation of a previous stipulation and order, surrender certificate on 7/15/24. We have Harold Serrano of Bronx, New York, for violation of 800.15 A, .3 AM, .3 AL, assessed a civil penalty of $4,000, $2,000 is stayed pending successful probation, suspended for 1 year effective 8/20/2024. Suspension is stayed pending successful completion of 3 years of probation. We have Brian Torres of Spencerport, New York, for violation of probation from a previous stipulation and order. He is suspended for 1 year, effective 8/2. We have Shay Vinson of New York, for violation of 800.16A6, 800.16A10, revoked certificate of 9/10/2024. We have James Wilkinson of Syracuse, New York, for violation of 800.15A, 800.16A2, .16A13, assessed a civil penalty of $6,000, $4,000 of which is state pending same probation period. Revoked certificate 9/4, revocation is stayed pending no further violations during a probationary period of 3 years. And that concludes this.
That's it.
Any repeats of those? I don't know if we need to.
Can you take it from the top?
Oh, it wasn't recording? All right, so old business. We have Western Wayne Ambulance for ALS narcotic.
Yep. So they have gotten their CS license from the Bureau, and they are up and running with us.
Okay. Under new business, we have protocol changes approval. So with that, John had said that we have many changes. I'm not going to read them all into protocol, but everyone have a copy in front of them that they're able to read through. So I think as a region, even though they come from the state lottery protocol, we need to vote them into basically to acceptance.
There's a few medications that specifically indicate if equipped and approved by Remac. So if any of the docs want to see the protocols, I can show you the requirement protocols. They're also posted on the Bureau website for the others.
I think kind of the highlights were Tetracaine, I think was in before, but now I think they go to antibiotic, right? For early
Antibiotic, right? That's perhaps one of the biggest ones that specifically needs to be endorsed by this body.
And then IV Tylenol. Do you know any others offhand?
No, it's not. Some of it was some grammar changes, some of it was aligning the dosing to meet the American Heart standards, and some other best practice dosing.
Another one, Vecuronium used to be reserved for aeromedical services. Now it's actually all services under a med control option.
Where's the antibiotics for sepsis?
Musculoskeletal. Oh, sepsis?
Yeah. I see a sepsis thing here. I just don't see something about it.
Yeah, it's under
I don't think they added it in that for sepsis.
I think they did. It was
Only open fractures.
open fracture.
This is
Okay.
Moxie, right? Or is this a different one?
I'm sorry?
Is the antibiotic Moxie, or is it a different one?
I believe
there's
that
two.
was the medication.
Yeah, for open fractures.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there was an oral option for BLS and then IV for BLS, which is what
So do you want to vote them in now, or should we have the official list of all the medication changes put together?
That is something that's possible.
Are all the changes in this?
Yes.
Specifically, okay.
Yeah, Moxie is the one antibiotic.
Yeah, it's actually on there, but musculoskeletal, it's a different topic.
I think the physicians around the table were reluctant to, just because there's no, in the field, you're not diagnosing sepsis. And they didn't want it being treated incorrectly, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think this was put in for intentional to be more austere situations where you have an open fracture, your park ranger medic administer this in the field.
These are all voted in as options for agencies, right? So there's no.
That is correct. There's no state approval needed. These are all approved at the state level.
But I mean, as an agency by agency, if the agency chooses not to carry antibiotics, they can choose, right?
Correct.
So yeah, so the first page there, the little double cross, equipped and trained, gives the option for the Remac and or agencies to approve and train individually. Some of the concern I've heard was just that, in the days of litigation against CMS, no agency wants to make the leap before the Remac says, if you want to, go ahead.
Gotcha.
With the caveat that this body should approve the training program per se, just to make sure it covers the standards.
Sounds good. This we can, so with some of the changes that we're making with the medical directors in the region, I'm going to be doing education. So if you want, this could be a discussion piece I could bring to education about how to roll that out, and then we can give a report back to.
We can, if you want to carry the protocol changes over to the next meeting, that would give you time to review them further.
Yeah. Well, I'd actually like to vote to carry it, and then, so this way we can, with pending the training, and then we can come back next meeting with the actual training plan. This way at least it kind of gets some momentum. Is that right, guys?
I think that's a good plan. I'm cool with voting for it, yeah.
Alright, so for now, let's vote to carry that we add these two protocols with appropriate training. So I'll first.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, it carries. Alright, so we'll put that for whole business for next month.
I'll carry that on. I'll make note of the training.
So, alright. So one of the changes that we're making in with the meetings for productivity to kind of help things move along in meetings. So instead of going agency to agency asking if there's any new business, we just kind of open it up to the agencies and anyone has anything that they want to share, for them all.
Well, and then try to get us, if you have an agenda item, provide that in advance so that you actually put on the agenda. And as Scott alluded to, the three medical directors that we have, Dr. Shi, Dr. Glick, and Dr. Surratt, have juggled some of their responsibilities. Just to let you guys know, our executive board has recently approved the contracts, and each of the doctors have signed off on the job descriptions. Dr. Shi will be the administrative medical director. And he will handle specifically the CMAC meeting and the TARTAC and that kind of stuff. And also have a rotation into being the chair of the Remac itself. Dr. Glick will be our education doctor, which will also encompass RSI. So we hope to revitalize that program and update it going forward. And as he kind of alluded to, we will be having, the intent is for the education physician to also have off months of Remac, we'll have a meeting to kind of go over educational standards and look at, what training needs are we have to have and so forth. And then Dr. Surratt will be handling the quality, and his meeting schedules will be the same. So we'll have a Remac meeting, we'll have a quality meeting, and then Remac meeting. That way they don't interfere and there's a flow report. And our intent is to specifically look at quality metrics and, make it so that it's not truly a punitive thing, but it's a more advanced thing and kind of all encompassing. So that's the overall plan. All the docs, we met with them and they were all on board and fully endorsed that plan.
So one of the things that is coming up when I do hold an education meeting, I'd like to put a survey out to all the agencies and to all the providers to see kind of what their educational needs are. Pediatrics are always like a common theme whenever I ask people to say peds. So I can teach some peds to my level of knowledge, but I'm also going to see if I can get some peds EM docs to come in to maybe talk about things like pediatric assessment, pediatric trauma, common pediatric illnesses and such. So expect a survey coming out. If you guys, we'll probably get it to because I think, do we have a list of all the providers, or would I just put it out to all the leaders of the agencies?
So yeah, generally I think the best course is put it out to the leaders and let them disseminate it, because tracking each provider is a nightmare, and because we know these providers are so transient and they're crossing multiple borders, so that would be extremely tough.
You guys gonna put out a written plan on how this is gonna work?
As far as
The restructuring you guys are doing?
we had no intentions on that.
So it depends on, you said something about them rotating just the chair positions, or?
Yep. So just the chair. So the intent is, so like Scott will chair this meeting. The next meeting it would be AJ or Jamie. So every 2 months there is a like a chief medical director that will field like any questions that we have, any agency issues. And then following that 2 month plan, or the 2 month period, they would then come back, provide a report to this body, and also chair the next Remac meeting. And then the next person becomes the regional, oversight. They come in and provide the reports, and then chair the next meeting.
What's really changing? I'm just
Well,
curious.
their assignments changed, and just the goal is to share the responsibilities rather than in the past it really fell on one individual to lead stuff, and then the others had their specific assignments and they really didn't cross over anything. Where now everything is a little more cohesive and
More clarification.
better defined.
Really what it is we're sharing with everyone just to kind of know what's going on, keep everyone up to date. It's really more behind the scenes what's happening between the three of us, how we're dividing responsibilities. One of the big things are, with 3 people, it's tough to say, well, who should we tell about this, and who's accountable for following up on this. So by doing it in kind of like 2 month stretches, what'll happen is, from this day moving forward until the next meeting, it's basically an on-call medical director, which in effect doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but it's more the person who, if somebody needs to reach out and speak to one of the medical directors, if they contacted John or they're not sure who's basically the doc right now, John will either let us know what's happening or that provider will call us. We would know basically all the ins and outs that are happening over those 2 months. And then we're more informed when we come to the next meeting to say, well, this is what's happened since the last meeting. And I have more information, especially when somebody says, hey, John, we had new business for this coming month. I'd like to talk about this issue. I can be more informed of what's been happening when it comes to new business. We can be prepared to kind of find solutions and move forward. So it doesn't mean a lot to you guys on like a case-by-case basis, but with us, just so we can share everything with you guys, that's how we're gonna be handling more responsibilities and basically be more effective getting more stuff done. Education-wise, one of the things, just kind of, because we're asking, just kind of hit, James gonna do QA/QI, but we're gonna help to make that a more solid process, that if somebody brings a QA/QI issue, right, the QA committee decides, well, even though it's not punitive, like this, we agree that this is something that really needs to have an educational plan, whether it's for the whole region, because we're noticing that it's a shortcoming of everybody, or if this was just a case, case basis, then then it's actually the education committee that's going to form a plan. So, so not only we just kind of come up with ideas for education, like, hey, what feels good, but we're going to be guiding education based on what we're finding with QA/QI.
So who makes the ultimate decision as a regional medical director?
For what?
Whatever. An incident.
Well,
That's
during
changing.
during the 2-month period, it's whoever that regional medical director would be.
So what if the two medical directors don't agree, agency medical director with the region?
Well, then it would be the way it's been for the last, last year or two. It's, ultimately a lot of it just lays on the agency medical director, because the regional medical director doesn't have a lot of say within agencies. We're realizing that.
But this body has the ability to de-credential a regional medical director, or a agency medical director.
That
it's been kind of confusing over the last 2 years.
You're playing devil's advocate
Yeah.
and trying to look forward, and this is a new process, so we haven't worked through everything.
Yeah. Well, in effect, to be honest, it's not the Remac medical director, to be honest, that really holds the cards anyway. It's the votes that are carried within the Remac meetings. So when it comes to voting ability, if something, like for example, moving forward with the protocol changes, it's not the medical director that's saying yay or nay. We're all in agreement vote as physician members, and either the vote carries or it doesn't. When it's like from an operational standpoint, like between like this meeting and the next meeting, there's really not an operational power of the medical director, like on whether it's on calls or whether it's more of a executive function with the committee, to organize and keep moving forward on issues.
You guys just all have your unique talents.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of different opinions on stuff. It's going to be, I think, confusing to us on some of that. I think the Remac holds a lot of statutory power that it reports to the council to pass over.
Well, I think from the field perspective is that your agency medical director is still your medical director. It's like you're saying, it's like they have the authority of your card.
Ultimately, if it's an issue, then we get Brian involved and take it to the higher power.
In effect, we are going to have 3 conductors of an orchestra, but when issues have come up, it's always been basically like if I have one opinion, Gene has another, and AJ has a third. It's still whether the vote carries or doesn't carry. With getting work done, which I think is
That's the primary goal.
kind of the bigger challenge that we have is like how do we effectively do stuff between month to month. I personally find that to be my goal is to make that work more effective. Because I don't feel like I'm getting a lot done between the meetings.
I bring up some good questions that weren't, we're transitioning into this plan. We haven't thought that far ahead, so it's certainly something to just keep in the back of our mind.
Well, the first time we have an issue where the three of us disagree and something doesn't move forward, we'll revisit and figure out how we can address it. And I don't have although I don't anticipate a problem, it could be, I'll see.
And then going forward, a couple of docs had brought forward a request to potentially change the day of week for this meeting. They were proposing that we move to the Wednesday, just because there's often some scheduling conflicts on Tuesdays at this time frame. So I throw that out to the doctors, does that work with your schedules or does it not? The rest of us can probably juggle our stuff around.
Dr. Glick, if you were to bring in a PEDS doc, for instance, to give an educational presentation of some sort, to whom would this be given, and like what kind of a venue would you have? Is that would throw out a Zoom to providers, or how would that work?
Probably both in person and Zoom. So like whether it's one of the EMS organizations or one of the hospitals that wanted to host one, my goal would be to not have them all at the same place, but to have them, at sites around.
Certainly a combination venue, where you can broadcast it for providers as well, would probably be the most ideal.
Is this something that you could offer like in a grand rounds and we could get CME credits for them?
Sure.
I mean, CME credits are granted by the docs, so.
Yeah. For the EMS side, to get CD credits, like to use for as long as there's a CIC, which is a certified EMS instructor, they can certify to give credit for it.
Okay.
But we'd be happy to have a speaker, from EMS providers to docs to surgeons to, so
That would be great.
I'll be visiting you, so we get some people.
Yeah, thank you.
And then whatever agencies are interested in hosting the CD, I'd like to set a goal of having 6 in-person, CMEs per year, in addition to the conference. So with each of these, so the 6 education meetings that are mirroring these meetings, and each one will be kind of planning about the next, as one of the goals, planning about the next lecture that they, so.
Well, a lot of the stuff that we do for outreach and education is CME offered classes, and I guess we have to get them out to the region, I guess, in a better format. Like we've been doing this for Seneca for years. And like next week we have, actually later this week, we have another CME offering for OP and other emergencies and stuff like that. So all of our education for this type of stuff is all already CAPC and CME accredited. It's ready to go. So
Yeah.
be happy to work.
Awesome.
Figure out some more of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's like 50 different offers every time.
So one of the other things I wanted to do, is to get a master calendar with all the CME, so that if there's CME offerings, maybe we can have a master CME calendar, even like a Google Calendar link, on the region website. It's one of the things we're going to talk about, the education, talk about now. So if we put the information on there, on the Google Calendar with a link, people can say, well, I can't make this one, but I can make this one, and it's tough because you have a lot of different agencies offering education, but if we had one resource where people can send dates to and stuff, one, we can know that maybe we should hold our CME on this date because that week is going to be tough because there's already other CME offerings and
Yeah, I guess because the agencies reach out to us to do it, so it's like you're the ones that are responsible for scheduling.
yeah.
But as far as like the Zoom invites and stuff like that, what's the goal or the vision, I guess, for how that's gonna be rolled out? And then, of course, I know those steps for an event, who's responsible for scheduling the Zoom meeting and providing that resource?
All the link and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I guess probably a list we can send out to the education people in each of the agencies. That would probably be the best point person, you know. But you know, we could do it.
Okay.
You know, if we could just, if you know, I can send it out to. If I just have the email address for each of the education people, you know, because I'll have stuff that I want to send out to each agency too.
Yeah, because it'd be great to see each agency respond back to the whole body to say, we're hosting this event.
Yeah.
And, you know, like nobody knows except for North Seneca that we're at North Seneca Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, but good for them, but bad for everybody else. So, and it's like not a Zoom link or anything.
And I hear there's been, you know, it's tough because we're coming out of COVID, you know, not having the greatest attendance at some events, but then some events are packed. So it's, you know, I think we need to all work together, you know, to say, hey, you know, because I can imagine, you know, two OB, you know, educational events happening in some week just because there wasn't communication between, you know, two agencies.
Yeah, and like, we use Zoom internally all the time, but at the end of each presentation, there is a QR code that automatically issues you right to your email, your senior credits. So you get a certificate right there.
Yeah.
And would these be something that would be typically or theoretically, I guess, something that would be more geared toward our EMTs, or would it be of interest to our providers, the APPs, the DACs, the specialists?
It covers the entire gamut.
Okay.
You can go from basic EMT all the way up to, you know, mid-level providers,
Okay.
physicians. So.
Good.
Okay, CFRs too. Sorry. We get everybody.
A lot of those in our county.
Yes.
For the Wednesday
But the
meetings,
education committee?
it's gonna be worse.
Yes,
for-
they have been in the past.
Me, probably James, just FYI. I mean, it is what it is, but just how the Rochester regional things work. So, kind of depends on the time, but just let us know.
So Wednesdays are okay or not okay?
Worse.
Worse,
Oh, worse.
yeah.
I would say.
For me too. I
Okay.
just work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday, I cover for 3 other providers in the ER admissions.
Gotcha.
So that I hate spending most of my time in the hall.
Yeah, if it's the majority, I mean, it is what it is. This can't be done on Zoom, is that correct as well?
Tuesday or Thursday is fine.
You can, I think you can do it on Zoom, but.
No.
No.
With open meeting law.
Okay.
So we can just have whatever you want, Scott, but we can just have like an email chain if it's about the physicians. Everybody else is actually that flexible in terms of what time table.
Let's just leave it the way it is for now.
Okay.
And see,
We're not for nothing, the physicians of the voting body, we're all just here for peanut gallery, so.
Your words.
Alright. Meeting adjourned?
Anything else?
Only thing I was gonna say from the Newark and Clifton end, we have transvenous pagers now, so those pagers are gonna be shipped out usually to RGH. Finger Lakes takes almost all of our transfers, so like Alan and I talked about it, just a general awareness thing.
Meeting adjourned, do I have any, let's vote for that?
Yeah.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn meeting?
Second.